this event by Techeconomy. Uh, yeah, apologies that we're starting 6 minutes behind schedule. Our apologies for that. And we just want to quickly jump in because we know your time is valuable. Please, in the chat section, could you just let us know where you're joining us from? I know this is a Nigerian convergence, but we had a participant and also registrations from all over Africa. So please, if you could let us know in the chat section where you're joining from. I am joining from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, and so please let me know where you're joining from. I can see already amiable speakers already on the lineup right now. Welcome, Mr. Abraham. Great. Thank you so much for making our time. Thank you so much, Oluwabushuyi. I'm sorry if I did not get that name correctly. You could correct me later. Thank you so much for making our time, and also to our only lady on the panel today, Cynthia Labi. Thank you so much for making our time to be with us today. We sincerely appreciate you taking our time. And also Mr. Hilary Utuke. Thank you so much for making our time to join us today. So, like I said, we're going to be very proactive today and quick with time because we know your time is important. And so, please, admin, could you help me pull up the profiles of the speakers so that we can do their proper introductions and then jump into the conversations? Um, I can already see I can see Peace is joining from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you so much, Peace, for joining. We appreciate your time here. We promise it's going to be a very insightful conversation. Now, don't forget, this is the first of the business series by Techeconomy. So we'll be having more sessions like this, and the goal of these sessions is to really dissect how technology is impacting industries, driving innovation, and also transforming economies. Because of course, Techeconomy's main goal is to connect innovation, business, and also technology, and seeing how it transforms the economy. So this conversation is not out of line. It is one of those various branches as to how we can actually not just have conversations, but also put actions to the conversations to drive our great nation, Nigeria, much farther and to a greater height that it deserves to be. So admin, please, if you have the profiles, could you help roll it on screen so that we can actually introduce our speakers? Okay, so I will do that from my ends. So I will start with the first person I'm seeing on my screen, first from the last, Mr. Hilary Utuke. So Mr. Hilary is the CEO of Colored Works, a top digital marketing firm in Lagos. He's authored 4 books, including Digital Strategies for Online Brand Visibility, and created Digital Luminary Pro, a trademarked brand, a model helping Nigerian thought leaders connect with millennials and Gen Z audiences. Thank you so much, Mr. Hillary. Please, audience, with a welcome clap, please, could you welcome Mr. Hillary? Mr. Hillary, please, do you have are you there? Could you say something so that we know you're here with us and kicking?
Oh yes, I'm here. So thank you very much for having me.
Hi.
Thank you, Anselm. Thank you.
I would say I'm more patriotic than you because I'm wearing my green.
I'm looking for green on my table. Okay, look at there's a green card here, so I'm patriotic.
Welcome. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for making
Yeah.
our time to be here so much. We really want to have great insights from you, and we're proud that you made our time. Thank you so much. All right. So next is Mr. Bushoyi Adonis. He's the co-founder and managing director of CAF Limited / CAF Universal LLC, a construction and real estate development company. And they have been at the forefront of sustainable projects, green projects, and also projects that are eco-friendly, so that we are not just developing structures, but also developing structures that are sustainable and also think of the future. We know we live in the era of climate change and all of that. We need to be sustainable. I personally want to thank Mr. Oluwabushi for doing that because not a lot of companies do that. So thank you, Mr. Oluwabushi. Welcome to the panel. Please, if you are available, say hello to us.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thanks, Mr. Moderator. Thanks for having me. And it's nice and great to be here. Thank you. I hope we all have a great time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for making our time. So
Thank
next
you.
I would go with Cynthia Labi. So Cynthia Labi is a seasoned revenue growth expert with over a decade of experience dedicated to driving growth in technology-driven companies. She has developed a unique blend of skills in sales, marketing, and business development, with a strategic focus on supporting and creating customer-centric brands, services, and solutions. Business growth in startups is buoyed by her expertise in non-technical roles, including customer success, accounts, stakeholder management, customer service, and enterprise sales. Cynthia is also very passionate about sharing her journey. She's eager to mentor others in her area of expertise and also contribute to the global business landscape. And it's also very important to mention that she also employs a strategic approach to client satisfaction and has done this across innovative organizations such as Arik Air, Iroko TV, and also Uber Technologies, amongst others. So welcome, Cynthia Lavi. If you're here with us, please say hello. We're glad to have you. Oh, I think our network is a bit unfriendly. Hello, Ma'am Cynthia. Can you hear us? Okay, I think her network is a bit unfriendly, so we'll jump and then come back to her. Madam Cynthia, so sorry about your network. All right. So the last on my list is of course definitely not the least is Mr. Abraham Great. Please just hold on a minute. Let me pull up your profile. I did a bit of a dive into our speakers, and I can tell you for a fact that they are they were carefully selected. And of course, we're talking about technology today, and it was very important for the organizers to pull up speakers from various technology spaces. So kudos to the organizers for that. So Mr. Abraham Great is an author, speaker, entrepreneur, lawyer, philanthropist, and also a leader. He's a management consultant, a trainer, destiny coach, leadership expert, and also a content writer and a clergyman. He is the chairman and chief executive officer at Great Dynasty Group, which has subsidiaries in UK, Nigeria, Ireland, and also North America. His professional experience has spanned over 16 years, and this has seen him develop and manage various organizations that in turn provide value, enrich lives, and also help society become a better place. And he is the CEO of topmost immigration companies, Straight Visas. He's also the CEO of Golden Pen, which are publishers of books and producers of music. And Mr. Abraham is also an investor, strategic investor, who creates vital businesses, including great assets such as a real estate company specialized in providing long-term payment plans for home buyers. Mr. Abraham is committed to seeing a change of story in the lives of people, and also he's famously known for the slogan, "It is working." He's happily married to Queen Olajumoke and also blessed with 4 Hebrew boys. I like that part. Thank you so much, Mr. Abraham. Your profile is amazing. We're glad to have you here. And please, if you're here with us, kindly unmute and say hello. We're so blessed to have you.
I am privileged to join you this morning. Well done for a great job that you're doing.
Hello, Mr. Abraham. Please, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me now? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, but it's a bit muffled, like a bit of a drag.
Okay, is it better now?
Yes, a bit better.
Okay, thank you for having me on this platform. Just to quickly clarify, I've been criticized by one of the online critics once about, I think my old profile was sent to you. In the context of Nigeria, I'm not a lawyer. I studied law in the UK. I'm a
Okay.
qualified immigration lawyer. In the UK, it's sufficient to be a lawyer because apart from the fact that I have a degree in law, I actually, like going through the route like you do in the UK, in Nigeria, for example, you can become an accountant without going to university by having ICANN. In the UK, we have similar routes for you to become an immigration lawyer, a will writing. I'm a top qualified immigration lawyer. But someone has once criticized me, David Ondey has criticized me once that I wasn't a lawyer. But in the UK, that is a lawyer. But in Nigeria, you need to go to law school to become a lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for that clarification. Indeed, we learn everything. Thank you so much for making our time. We really appreciate. And of course, today's discourse is we're discussing the Nigerian tech space from independence to digital age. And our country currently just recently celebrated 64 years of independence, right from 1960 to 2024. That makes about 64 years. And if we should look at it from the scale of a human being, that is actually a human being nearing retirement, and we should be having benefits and also kind of like setting into that stage of mentorship of trying to build up the younger ones. And of course, with age comes wealth. However, this has really not been the case, or maybe it has been the case in Nigeria, but wealth has been transferred only to a few. And so, but what we have seen with technology is that the element of technology in the late 90s, very early 2000s, with of course the penetration of technology companies, mostly network technology companies, we have seen how wealth has been distributed, and of course opportunities are being created by the creation of these technology companies, or by their entry into the African/Nigerian market. So our discussion today is basically to dissect how far we have come as a country with respect to technology from our independence, and of course, see what we can do better, where are we struggling, and of course, what haven't we done enough, or where have we done enough that we need to commend ourselves, even as we set our eyes on higher stakes. I know one of the principles of digital transformation is that what you should do is to celebrate your small wins, because transformation is such a difficult change to occur. And if you only look at the end goal without celebrating your small wins, you would be overwhelmed by the journey ahead. So what this discussion is also for us to highlight and then celebrate our small wins, while also looking forward to how we can move further and faster, and maybe use technology as a tool for wealth creation and of course people development. So I would start with Mr. Hillary, because of course he was the one on my right. I'll start with Mr. Hillary. So Mr. Hillary, I would really like to know, of course, understanding of the discussion that we are having right now, and maybe your personal opinion. What are your thoughts on the current state of our country's tech industry? How do you think that's evolved over the years? I would really want you to give personal experiences as to maybe when you ventured into the tech industry, what you know about it historically, and maybe how you think we have come far to this time. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So you can hear and see me clearly, right? And see me very well.
Yes.
Okay, so so picking it from 1960 to down 1979, or I'll say 1980, we've actually evolved significantly. So from 1960 to
Mr.
about...
Hillary, are you there? Okay.
Yes, can you hear me? Can you still hear me?
Not so clearly. Not so clearly.
I can hear him very clearly.
Because I know it's sharp here and all. So can I proceed?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. So from 1960 to about 1979 or 1980, so we've had significant improvement. So around 1960, what we were seeing there was a focus on industrialization. So the government was majorly focusing on industrialization between around 1960 down to about 1979, and infrastructural development. So communication technology then was so rudimentary. We were relying heavily on radio, telegraphs, basic communication systems. All right. And even at that, not everyone had access to those things. So the juice of that was only enjoyed by, a small portion of our population. So it was until 1980 that the government, began implementing more policies, related to ICT. And that's where we had the formation of NTC, National Telecommunications Commission, and investment in computer education, information systems, in our education started coming up. Now, this was our experience from 1960 to 1980. So in the 1990s, specifically 1996, there was a major liberalization and internet revolution around that season. All right. And what we witnessed was, Nitel came up at that time. Even if Nitel was, a state-owned enterprise, it was at the forefront of, the country's telecom industry. It had its own inefficiencies, significant inefficiencies, as at then, and a supporting body that was, helping to drive internet in Nigeria then was Nigeria Internet Group. They are still in existence till now. I'm a member of the association. It was founded in 1995. So they were also helping to drive internet as at that time. In 2001, we had a significant shift. That's where we had General System for Mobile Communications, what we acronymed GSM, and that's now revolutionized the telecom space. And let me just quickly go back to 1996. One of the major shifts we saw then was, the NCC, when they began to license ISPs, that's internet service providers. And, from that time, like I mentioned, there was a major liberation of, the internet. So everyone could now access the internet and all. And five major improvements, happened when we started having major access to internet. But before I even go to that, how does, a first world native see the internet? All right, a first world native will see the internet like an ocean, so it's unending, it's unlimited. So they can swim in it, they can fish in it, they can, do whatever in that ocean. But how does the third world native see the internet? We see it like water in a mug. All right. So we are so careful, about how we use it. We don't want to exhaust it. And that's why we started hearing things like 200 MB, 2 MB, 1 gig, and all of that. So you are careful on how you want to use your internet. Now, this limitation has restricted our creativity, our experience, all right, with the internet space compared to someone in the United States, someone in UK that has access to unlimited internet. So even if we have, the likes of internet providers that say that you can have access to unlimited internet. In the real sense of it, there's actually no unlimited internet in Nigeria, so to say. All right. So, but we have grown significantly. And from 1996 down to 2000, that we started seeing a lot of changes. We started seeing things like, different innovations in fintech, AI, digital entrepreneurship, and all of that. And, I can mention about 5 major, that's notable developments in our, internet space, from 1960 down to this time. We've seen a widespread in internet access. We've seen fintech growth. We've also seen mobile penetration. We've also seen AI and data analytics evolve. We've seen blockchain and cryptocurrency. All right. So even if the old buzz now around crypto, AI, and all of that, even if AI did not just start now, it has been in existence, I think, as far as 1956. All right. So we've utilized AI in different, at different levels until now that we started seeing AI, in a different level, generative AI specifically. We also have the sister to that, which is narrow AI. But what we see mostly now, what we use most now is generative AI. And that came to be as a result of the establishment of ChatGPT, OpenAI. So it became so obvious. So over time, we've grown significantly, but we are yet to tap into the core of technology. All right. So AI can do a whole lot of things, you know, and all of that. From AI itself, a subset to AI, machine learning, a subset to machine learning, you know, deep learning. I don't want to go into the intricacies of that to start explaining them one after the other, but we have evolved significantly. And it's now time that we begin to leverage these things, you know, at a deeper level. All right. So what is the role of businesses? What is the role of developers? What is the role of the government? All right. So these three stakeholders, you know, they have key roles to play, you know, and for businesses, we need to transcend to the level of not just, you know, doing like the brick and mortar business. So how do we leverage the online space significantly to grow our businesses? Developers, not just building tools because you just want an investor to just give you money out of that. You know, let's begin to create usable tools. For example, I created a system called TechGuard Elite. All right, what TechGuard Elite does is, you know, over the years, we've been able to judge the work or the apps or softwares of major top experts in Nigeria to ensure that it's meeting global standard and it's actually usable. All right. And well, you know, we build different systems. We're also building something right now at the moment that can also help solopreneurs utilize technology. So not just them knowing what it is used for or having that knowledge, but the application of it. So how can you leverage digital marketing, you know, understanding the algorithms of, you know, social media, you know, in driving your business? How can you leverage AI? How can you leverage blockchain for high-end security, you know, and stuff like that? So over the years, we have grown significantly as a nation, but we are still at the bank of the ocean. We have not gone deep into, you know, you know, all that we can experience in technology. So the government needs to also get to that level where in every state, not just Lagos State, in every state, we have tech hubs. You know, a lot of businesses came from CC Hub, you know, that was set up by our current Minister of Information. All right, but we need to have this in different states and not just have them, but they are ensure that they are properly managed. If you are going to Ikeja City Mall, if you're in Lagos, Nigeria, we're going to Ikeja City Mall. I think there's one computer, you know, whatever around there. It's dilapidated. It's terrible. All right. So the government needs to play a role in that regard. Build these hubs and, you know, make internet easily accessible to people. All right. And while people are trying to, you know, struggle to see, you know, how they can use internet to grow their businesses and all of that, if it is easy for them to access these things, our creativity will expand. So we don't need to stress to access internet or manage all of these things. And ultimately, there is tiredness in our level of creativity, and then we cannot express our, you know, our genius, you know, at these levels. All right. So that is one of the things I think the government can also do. And also businesses too. While we cannot, United States of America, you know, is a place that was built by entrepreneurs. All right, they run a capitalist system built by entrepreneurs. So we also, as entrepreneurs, we need to ascend to that level where we begin to, you know, connect, you know, global network and start creating solutions that are usable here in our nation. And by the time we begin to push this force, all right, the government will also fall in line. All right, so that's, you know, where I think I'll stop for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Hillary. Your submission was powerful. I loved how you took it from the era of the 1960s into, of course, the advent of communication companies, and how the fact that at the beginning, certain frameworks and systems were not really present that helped to drive this innovation, but also ending your submission with how we can actually make it better and also the things that we can do and even take action on right now. So thank you so much for your submission. And Mr. Mr. Oluwabushi, I would like to come to you on this because I believe this is an area you have experience in. I know that as someone who has done a lot of construction projects, you do not you would of course have some interactions with the government a lot. So I want to ask you this what role has the government played in supporting the growth of the technology industry in Nigeria? In your experience, what are the specific roles you have seen them play to contribute to the advent of our technology industry in Nigeria? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Imo. Well, answering to that, the government, they are trying their best because, they have a lot on their plate to cope with. When you're talking about government, you're talking about the neck that is carrying the head. We are about 250 million people in Nigeria, though the last census, capped our population at around maybe about 220. But you and me, we know very well that we are more than 220. We are around 250 million people in Nigeria. So for a single government to take care of this number of people is a whole lot. And it's actually telling on them. And we must give it to them because in their own little way, I was, opportune to be part of a project that the company that I worked for before in Abuja, that they commissioned the company to build for them. It's a construction firm, Sageto Limited. At Nigerian Airspace Authority. The property is along Airport Road in Abuja, somewhere around Lugbe. So in their own little way, they are doing their best. We have the Nigeria communication satellite that has been launched into that they are working on, with some other advanced countries in the world. So in our own little way, but really, if you look at the developed country, you can see today that it's entrepreneurs that are driving the technology aspect of their economy. Like Mr. Hillary said, American today, a leading country. We want to talk about a well-rounded nation in the world today. We make reference to United States of America. If you look at I've been to NASA. I think that was in 2019. I visited NASA with all the huge investment that the government, made in their space exploration. As we speak today, United States of America still relies heavily on individuals like Elon Musk, to drive their technology advancement. You recall, I think sometimes in July, they sent some people, NASA sent some people to space and they were trapped in space. So it was Elon Musk through SpaceX that is they are working with SpaceX now to bring those people that are trapped in space back to Earth. So I think where we are in Nigeria as of today, we really need to look beyond what government can do. We need to turn our country around technology-wise, and we must be factual. We must be factual in the sense that we're not, if you compare, the rate of penetration of technology in our operations in Nigeria, if you look at the fintech industry, if you look at app development, if you look at property technology, if you look at construction, a lot of people are coming, particularly is a bank account that I opened abroad for my business. And I saw Flutterwave on my bank statement. So I was taken aback. What is Flutterwave doing in America? So you can see how good we are technology-wise, in financial technology sector. Though there's still a lot to be done, but then we entrepreneurs, individuals, we need to take the bull by the horn. If there are opportunities that the government has made available, for technologists, to thrive, in our country today, I think we should take advantage of it. And the minister is actually doing very, very well. I'm talking about Dr. Tijani, because if you look at a lot of our properties abroad today, they are converting those buildings that has been built, that has been bought for years, they are converting them to tech hub. And these are the kind of things that we need. We are talking about, I mean, no job. There are a lot of people are jobless in Nigeria today. I think the tech, I mean, aspect of our nation can employ a whole lot. If you look at Nigeria today, I think it's construction industry that employs majority of people in construction. You have welders, you have, I mean, professionals, you have craftsmen, you have people that are even selling food to them. So the same way that construction is taking care of a lot of people, guaranteeing them good job to be able to put, food on their table, we can do the same with tech. I was opportune to design tech hub at Lagos State University in Ojo. You understand? These are the kind of things government need, to do, to put in place. And, we should not mix things up. If you go to the Western countries where things are working today, government only make, the environment conducive, maybe in aspect of helping them with the infrastructural, aspect of it, build tech hubs, give them good infrastructure, then if they can exempt some taxes on the equipment, it is actually the entrepreneur. It is actually small business owners that drives the economy. If you go to US today, you discover that about 60–70% of, people that are gainfully employed are employed by small business owners. So this needs to be encouraged in Nigeria so that we can ease the pressure of government. Because the job of government is not to go, Nigerian government shouldn't go into the business of technology. They should allow people like Hillary and other tech guys to take care of that sector. Why they just make the environment, we're talking about data, we're talking about unlimited, and I was very glad when you said there's nothing like unlimited internet in Nigeria. So today they are still capped at certain state. Let's not lie to ourselves. But these are the things that by the time, let's assume government reduces tax for MTN, for Fiber One, for Swift, and all those internet service provider, I'm sure they too will be reasonable, about the amount that they, because if you go to UK, you go to US, you try to compare the speed of the internet, you try to compare the cost of the internet. A lot of people are using Starlinks as we speak today, but how many people can afford Starlink? You understand?
Right.
Our brothers and colleagues from Makoko, from Morocco, in Nushudi, how many of them can afford, about close to 500,000 naira to just buy the package and be paying 60,000 naira per month for it? So if the government, I think that's what the government can do. Make these services, affordable and accessible to people. If you need to grant them the license to, to lay their fiber cable, to the rural area, you understand? And, by the time we have this, you discover that our rate of urbanization and overpopulation and pressure, even on housing, because as we speak today, Nigeria has about 22 million affordable housing deficit. I know there are many buildings that people can't afford. If you go to Abuja, you see a lot of them. If you come to Lagos, you see a lot of them. But when you're talking about affordable housing, it's very difficult for people, even the ones that we developer call affordable. They are actually they are not low cost, they are not as affordable as they should be. But by the time all these infrastructures are in place, a lot of people will not be coming to Lagos or going to Port Harcourt or going to Abuja. You can sit in your village somewhere in Malaysia and Osun State. If you have good internet, you can do a whole lot, because the penetration of this internet has cut a lot, of lag in our deliverables. The way we deliver service before, we were talking about the penetration of technology. If you look at 1960, 1970, there was nothing like AutoCAD. But when we started having internet, when we started embracing technology, AutoCAD came to be. I remember when I was doing my internship at Ibadan, it was only one office then that has AutoCAD. I think the office belonged to Techeconomy somewhere in Bodija. So if you want to learn, you have to go and pay hundreds of thousands to get the package and be able to learn the AutoCAD. And look at what has happened today. I can be doing drawings somewhere in Texas and somebody with at the same time, real time, and somebody is, placing the drawing somewhere in Nigeria. So instead of completing the drawing, putting it in an envelope, take to the post office to post something that can take like 3, 4, 6 months, under 1 or 2 hours now, you can get, that. So the technology cut, the times of our delivery. The technology has made even where we work safer. You don't have to travel by road or by air to get things done. You can look at what technology has supported us in WhatsApp. You can do almost everything you want to do today on what before you want to upload the document to send to maybe to Mr. Imo. You spend like 2-3 hours to upload the document. Then when you are able to upload it, you want to send it. At times, it's the third day that you call Imo and he will tell you that he hasn't gotten the mail. You go and check your outbox, you discover that but now you can send as many documents as you want on WhatsApp. Before you blink, you have received the document. So it's a good place. And the possibility of technology is limitless. It cuts across all sectors of human activity, the way you think, and everybody has become a technologist. You can just take a document instead of using your scanner. You use your Adobe scan on your phone. And all these phones, they even scan better. They scan better than the traditional printers we were used to or fast machine. So it's a lot.
Thank you so much. Because yes, because you're speaking with so much passion, and if I should allow you, of course, you would go as much as because of the passion, and I can see the wealth of experience that you have and that you're sharing. So thank you so much. One thing that really struck me about your point, I would say 2 things. Number one was the fact that we can almost build our way out of unemployment and stunted growth. And the second thing is that we as entrepreneurs, as technologists, as builders, we can be the change that we want. We can actually, instead of waiting for the government, we can actually make these changes, mirroring societies like Singapore, like the US and also Canada, advanced societies who have also done this. I really love the point you gave about building our way out of economic downturn, because I was opportune to be at a symposium in Lagos earlier this year to honor Wega Fatimile, the senior partner of the Fatimile & Co. And one of the keynote speakers, the head of Planet Projects, he said that at this stage of our economy, we have to build our way out of poverty. We have to invest in construction, building ships, mirroring societies like Poland, where you have to build ships. And of course, these large-scale projects will in turn employ more people, like you mentioned, welders, builders, people, carpenters. Of course, we're going to have like a smaller ecosystem while we are still trying to get to where we want to. So thank you so much for bringing that reality check to this limelight. Thank you so much. Mr. Abraham, I would come to you with a bit of a legal approach here. I will come to you with a bit of a legal approach in saying, what are not just the opportunities, but what are also some of the challenges that we have experienced in Nigeria with adopting emerging technologies such as AI, blockchain, and 5G. And a bit of a bit of a small story I want to throw in here is how we have seen our government not be so open arm to technologies like blockchain, which we have seen advanced societies in other climes. So what do you think has been the opportunities and challenges of adopting these emerging technologies in our own climate, Nigeria? Mr. Abraham, thank you.
Thank you once again, and to all the speakers, also wonderful thing that has been done. I think one of the gaps that we have in the market at the moment that we can work with government on is electricity. And I love, how Hilary took us through, the journey of the infrastructural or technological development in Nigeria. It used to be so hilarious because, most people who are born in the 2000s don't know what we went through at the time. But I can tell you that I remember vividly when to communicate, we would have to use Telegram, like Hilary said, because my father worked in Nitel. And one of the challenges you have then from independence was deregulating telecommunication itself, because Nitel and NIPOS were together. from the 70s. It took a lot of, conversation, of which my father was involved, to ensure that NIPOST and NITEL were detached, to be able to separate, NIPOST from NITEL. But even still at that, the stress that people go through to get government approval, because government regulated NITEL. I recall very vividly that many times it could take up to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years for a house to have a phone line. You have to lobby people. Even my own father, who worked in NITEL, they will have to keep, and he worked at the headquarters. They will have to keep lobbying and trying to, and then they make money. Some of them build houses, trying to, people will meet them, give them money. They will help them push their file. Then this year you say your file has gone. Government can become a stumbling block to development. And even though we have, it is estimated that 40%, or no, more than 60% of Nigerian population is less than 40 years old. But one of the greatest impediments to their development will be government lack of regulation and lack of deregulation. What I mean by that is that, for example, you mentioned blockchain. Blockchain is not a thing to be attacked. It's a thing that government need to be very intuitive, ahead of, and create the necessary regulation to be sure that it is, we're at a cutting edge of, of blockchain technology. But when we look at blockchain, for example, also, most government, and particularly our government, only look at Bitcoin. They don't look at every other thing that we can do with blockchain. For example, we can do census. We can use blockchain as a method to be sure that we have a better census in the country. So if I could put it back, let me go back straight. Right now, as of today, one of the key things that we can get government to do is to ensure that we have permanent electricity. If you remember Maslow's hierarchy of need, Maslow says that the number one basic need of every human is the physiological need: water, road, electricity, shelter. Until there is a permanent electricity and at an affordable, maybe not subsidized, but electricity at such a form that it is uninterrupted and it's cheap for any business to be able to do business, we will continue to struggle with advancement in technology. Well done to the like of Hillary, not well done to the like of Inyi and Tunji and all of them that are in the creative tech industry. But we want to be like Brazil. We want to be like China. We want to use the passion that our youth has got. So we need to continue to pressure, lobby government to be sure that our country has permanent electricity. And sequel to that, we can say that the government also need to interact with the youth to ensure that regulations come in as forward thinking, not as a watchdog, not as attack dog. You don't use regulation to attack people. You use regulation to enhance, to enhance technology. I hope that helped for now.
Yes, quite a lot. And of course, I love how you intersected the personal story aspect, because the truth is that most of these things can seem very factual and just top of the mind. But when you actually bring personal perspectives, like placing your father in the picture, it makes us realize that these things are not out of touch. There are things that we have experienced as challenges. They are near to home. And also they are actually affecting, or if you would say, can help advance the lives of real people in real places. So thank you so much, Mr. Abraham. And please, speakers, just as a reminder, your time is 5 to 7 minutes speaking time. So please, let's be conscious of time because we have a whole lot to cover. Of course, we have to be conscious of our Q&A. All right, so we have Cynthia on stage right now. Cynthia, please, we lost you out for a moment, so please could you briefly say hello? And of course, we're very much glad to have you here and happy that your network is a bit stable.
Hi everyone, good morning. I hope you can hear me better now.
Yes, please.
Glad to be here and sorry I was in transit, I guess that's why And I think that's part of the conversation we're having today about like having network that works. Yeah. All right. Thanks. And nice to meet
All right, so I'm going to go straight at I would give it maybe something I would call a two-part question. And so my question would be number one, what are some of the most significant tech advancements in Nigeria that you have seen in your time, and how have they impacted various industries? So we're talking about, of course, an invention of a technological advancement that has impacted not just one sector, maybe like healthcare, but we have seen it have impact in cross sectors. And the second point of that is how has innovation growth in Nigeria, in Nigeria's tech industry, how has it driven growth in our tech industry, and what are some successful startups you have seen? I'm asking this because you're someone whose life or career has been mostly about, of course, building value for startups. So what are some of the examples of successful startups, and how have they driven innovation growth in our industry? So two-part question. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Imo. So I think your first part of your question was how has innovation driven the Nigerian tech industry? I would say that in the last decade, when I would say I've been privileged to be in the tech industry, I have seen a lot of innovation in the industry, and I'll say that innovation in the tech industry has actually driven a lot of things. So if I would start off with Flutterwave, for instance, innovating in the payment space, right? We all knew how cumbersome it was for you to move money, for you to handle collections with just only the traditional banks, right? But having players like Flutterwave come in to see what can be done, right, in that space. And they've done a beautiful job at that, which has then given birth to like a lot more players, the likes of Paystack. So I'll say InterSwitch started, then you had Flutterwave and then Paystack and then the rest of them, right? And sometimes I'm proud of like what we've done, right, in terms of innovation, especially in payments. I know some people would disagree, but I kind of feel like Nigeria has one of like the best when it comes to like payment processing, right? And even in terms of like innovations on the fintech space, but doing a lot more. A lot of countries in terms of payments still are yet, when you do bank transfers, are yet to get value for their money immediately, right? So I think especially in payments, innovation in the tech industry has really moved, and we're getting better. A lot of other industries, right, where I'm seeing like people innovate, the logistic industry. I remember when the likes of Uber came in, and when the likes of Uber came in, we've seen other Nigerian entrepreneurs also start similar things, right? And just make transportation a lot more easier, even to the point where like the government is challenged. Now we see Lagos State starting like lag rides and all, right? So I would definitely say that the innovation in the tech industry has been one that keeps coming, great people doing great stuff, right? Climate, agri-tech, a lot of innovations, right? And I think just answering like the second question, which is like naming successful startups, right? There are lots, right? However, we're yet to see some of them get over from the point where they're startups into like the IPO stage, right? But we've seen a lot. We've seen the likes of Flutterwave raised a lot of money, valued at almost a billion, or if not more than a billion. We have the likes of Move, right? Also like doing great stuff in logistics and contributing to the economy. I think at this point I'd also like to mention, because I remember Imo, your intro talking about like wealth. I think the startups in Nigeria has also helped, right, in terms of like job. We can do more, but also in terms of like the spread of wealth, because before innovation in Nigeria, like technology space startup business started, right, it took a lot for you to earn a certain amount, right, as a entry-level person. But in the tech industry, right, you see young people making good money, right? So I definitely would say that we've seen companies, right, startups come up, successful ones, Flutterwave, Piggyvest, the educational ones, for instance, Ladder, who's pushing to ensure that people are investing their money wisely. There's Move, there are a lot. I don't know, I'll just mention a few, but they're really doing a great job. And I think they can do more. Especially in terms of managing like investments and ensuring that the growth that we have is sustained. What I also like to see is having more software as a service company, right, in terms of the startup space come up. But yeah, I think I have mentioned a few.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Thank you for that submission, and also thank you for being very generous. Of course, not just mentioning examples of some startup, but I really love how you delved into the impact they are making. Of course, as a Nigerian, living in Nigeria, we even from like early 2000s, we know how cumbersome it is to go to the bank to just pull out your own money. It's not like you're going to pull out someone's money, you're going to pull out your own money. And we know how cumbersome that was. But right now, with the advent of technology and innovation, you can actually move money around certain banks and also financial institutions because of the advent of fintech. And there's an article I saw, I think earlier this year, if I'm not wrong, and it was dissecting how or if it is of truth that fintechs are a threat to traditional banks. But then I love what I've forgotten his name. I would have really loved to highlight his name. He gave a submission that fintechs are only going to be threats to financial banks or banks, financial institutions or financial houses who are not open armed to technology, because where fintechs may lack in policy and regulations and they have advantage in technology and innovation, the two can partner in to be a powerhouse, because traditional banks know how to manage money, how to regulate money and all of that. But then the fintechs know the technology aspect. So that's, instead of competition, it's an opportunity for collaboration. And if the two can have a healthy meeting point, it would of course be more to the benefit of the customer, because healthy competitions bring about better products and better services for the end users and the customers as well. So thank you so much for highlighting that. So Mr. Hillary, I would like to come back to you. The depth of your submission the first time was really strategic, to taking into, of course, the early moments of technology and how we have transcended over time. So our discussion has mostly centered upon the history, right? Because don't forget, our discussion is Nigeria tech space from independence to now, the digital age. So let's move into more of the economic impact of technology and, of course, on our prosperity. So my question to you would be, how has the tech industry contributed to Nigeria's GDP and economic growth? How tangibly has it contributed to our economic growth and our GDP in the scale of things? Thank you so much. So sorry, you're muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Accurate, thank you.
Okay, so it has contributed significantly to our GDP. If we are looking at it from the ICT sector, I think I can remember, I don't have the data for 2023, but I think as at 2022, the ICT space has, contributed about 16.2% to our, our GDP. And the major drivers of this, and I think, when I get to mention these drivers, it's what it will even help businesses do is to see that, okay, these are areas where, one can actually build, solutions and ultimately thrive in, in Nigeria. So I think there are some key drivers to this increase or addition that, tech has, compared to our GDP, and, telecoms, fintech, e-commerce, and digital services. So those 4 or 3 are, the major drivers. So like I said earlier, by the time businesses will begin to see that we need to move from consumption to not just production, but even creation, all right, we get to understand that that is how we can keep on adding to the growth of the GDP. So if 2022 we had 16.2% increase, our GDP, I believe that I don't have the stats for this year, but I know that it has increased significantly. And with so looking at the fintech space, there are so many things that are happening in that area. You are looking at guys that are building solutions that will help us transact easily with the international market and all of that. We have platforms like Gray, recently Vesti, owned by Shola Mushon. They set up a system, where, developers can go into that orb and, keep on building different solutions for them. And what they are focused more on is helping people, in terms of global mobility, and all of that. So obviously that's compared to our GDP. And I think by the time we begin to see that what we need to start doing beyond just using these tools, all right, beyond just using these tools for our businesses, we need to start creating our own solutions. There are guys in, I can't remember this guy's name, but he is based in Bali. What it does is, if he's having a particular problem, he creates or builds a software to solve that problem. And because he has built that software to solve a particular problem, there are people like him that is also having that same challenge, and then that becomes a part of his business. So when he keeps on moving in that line again, and it's on that problem that he is encountering, he builds another solution to solve his problem, and that becomes another part of his company, and it keeps on going like that. So I think by the time we start thinking solution in that light, where you see that, so at a point you are confused about, okay, what should I build? What should I create? So think about the problem that you are having, then create a solution to solve your own problem. And ultimately, you have a market, because there are people like you that are having that same problem, and we keep on building and building, like that. Like riding on what Mr. Adonis, talked about, where he said that the government needs to just create an enabling environment. So by the time, so we can't. So in Nigeria, the reality with Nigeria is, personally for me, I'm not impressed with the government really, but by the time people begin to take the bull by the horn, themselves, and we begin to create this solutions that are useful, I strongly believe that by and we begin to put out this narrative out there on, so instead of us fighting on Twitter, on X, on all those platforms, we start putting out the things we are building, and begin to tag necessary accounts, to see that these are the things we are building. So I think over time, the government will get to see that, okay, people are trying to build things, and they begin to create, atmosphere for us to thrive significantly. So yes, tech has, helped our GDP significantly, and if it is properly leveraged, without restriction, why should the government be stopping us from, trading in Bitcoin, all of those things? What I think that they should do is call these tech guys together and let's discuss what is the benefits, for the nation. By the time they are well enlightened, all right, they now get to see that, oh, this thing can actually, blockchain is itself it's massive, because like it's in cybersecurity, so many ways. By the time we begin to get into these things, we'll go beyond 6.2% in 2022 and keep on growing on and on, that way. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hillary. Thank you for your depth of submission. But I want to stay back a bit with you if you could just in 2 or 3 minutes answer this. The reality is that tech is even just in the birthing stages in Nigeria. And if it is what we consider the birthing stages and it is bringing this much GDP growth, imagine when it now maybe enters like adolescent stages and teenagehood, how much it can bring. So in these infant stages, we have seen how the government's body language has been kind of pushing. And beyond regulatory poaching, I mean financial poaching. An example would be, oh, we saw how much fintech is making. What was the response? 100 million naira license slapped on fintech companies. If you want to have a payment license, it's 100 million naira right now. And so it's more of the body language is more of more of a greedy body language. So how can innovators, entrepreneurs navigate around is knowing that, okay, what you're building can possibly be a gold mine, but there is a more like a watchdog who is just waiting for you, if you don't lack, if I lack a better word, waiting for you to blow, so that not that they can support you, but so that they can keep drilling you. So how can we navigate that, and what are the way forward beyond just talking and tagging accounts?
Okay, so there's something called indie hacking. Indie hacking. Now, indie hacking is you creating a solution without totally depending on either the government or external investors. So there's a community called Indie Hacker. All right. So what I think we can do is, so most of the time when I think about my business personally, for me, even if you can't totally, go outside the whole government thing, I try to build my system in a way that there is limited reliance on, I expect the government to do this, I expect the government to do that, And since I've built my system that way, and we keep on solving problems in our own little way, we now start, we start attracting investors that see that, oh, okay, this thing is really making sense. And so they are willing to want to, invest in, whatever we are building. So I think the first point of call should be builders, tech guys should actually first look at a major problem that they can solve and build a solution around that. Now, when you have built a solution, don't build it with a mindset that, oh, you need the government to do this for you, to do that for you. So if you go through the methodology of indie hacking, all right, and you build a particular solution, then over time you begin to, position yourself for angel investors to see what you are building. And by the time these guys begin to put in money into what you're already building, so you can now leverage, tools and platforms that your government cannot, easily have access to. All right. The world is a global village. All right. So if we are building everything we are doing, I'm trying to be very careful not to, talk to, against our government and all of that. So if you are building something, and like you said, there is a shark somewhere waiting that once you go big, they are coming to just take everything. So I think we should start building systems that will not only rely on or be driven by what our government can control. Let's start looking at things from a global perspective. And by the time we begin to expand with that energy, I think somehow we can influence the mindset of the government, and then they begin to succumb to whatever we are trying to create. So the indie hacking formula first, build that solution, and then start looking at investors that you can leverage to help you expand what you are building. So yeah.
Thank you so much. So everyone listening, attendees online, you should go to ChatGPT right now, go to Gemini, enter the keyword indie hacking, go to Google search, see however resources you can actually digest on that, and so that you can take action. So Mr. Adonis, the last submission you gave, we actually intersected job creation and a bit of employment and value creation. I love how Mr. Hillary said beyond consumption to production, we have to even start thinking of creation. Because that's like the sustainable way of wealth creation. So I want to ask, what are the opportunities for job creation and skill development in Nigeria's tech industry that you have seen and that you can highlight to our attendees on this call?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Imo. Like I said previously, the possibilities and the opportunities are endless. And like Hilary said, I think the only sector we are very good at presently is the financial technology. Then, he also mentioned about Vesti that are also doing well in fintech and global mobilization. They have this platform. They can help you, to study abroad. They can assist you in getting, admission, financing, and all that. So if we really want to take advantage of the tech, like I submitted earlier, our government has a lot to cope with. And if you look inward, you discover that a lot of us, like the estate where I live in Lagos, we've not had light since May because the developer, was doing bulk metering. The estate association has taken the case to NEC in Abuja. So for the past 4 months, it's going to be 5 months on the 25th of this month that we've had light. So we really need to look inwards. If you have a house, you're the one that did your borehole, you are the one that did, that is generating your electricity, the road to your house, maybe you even made some effort to make it motorable. So this tech thing, we have to look inwards because what government can do is to provide the necessary infrastructures, to make the environment conducive, to regulate, and maybe to give tax holidays to developers and companies that are really into research and development in the tech space. Then maybe the improvement of the power sector, the improvement. So what we can do is to encourage people more. Government should use all the means, all the power that they have to encourage people to explore the tech space. You understand? So that encourage people, build innovation hubs. This will take a lot of people, a substantial amount of people off the streets. Today, we have the issues of having Yahoo boys around us. Yahoo boys, they are tech, if they can do fraud, by chatting with people, by discussing with them online, people are sending money to them. Have you ever, stopped to think about what they can do? Ethically, what they can use technology to do ethically. So a lot can be done, a lot can be achieved. If we have these hubs, if we, put the news out there, you understand? If people are well informed about the possibilities, you understand? Mark Zuckerberg has recognized that he has visited our country a number of times. Bill Gates has been to Nigeria. I think I'm not sure if Elon Musk has visited Nigeria. These are people that have seen the opportunities because, our youth, Nigeria has maybe about the highest number of youth, productive youth. If you look at the people from age 18 to 35, those are the people that forms about 60% of Nigerian population. So you can imagine the opportunities that lies ahead of us. If the information is out there, if we can get people educated, if government can make the environment conducive, fix the power problem so that the little you have, you are not using it to generate power, to power this sector. You understand? I think these are the least that government can do to create jobs in this particular sector. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful submission, and thank you for being honest and vulnerable as well. I'm so sorry about the partition in your estate. I hope it gets resolved quite expediently. So sorry about that experience. So sorry. Yes. All right. So, Mr. Abraham, thank you for still being on the call. In our last submission, we had intersected a bit about, I think you were the first person to highlight the importance of electricity, saying that was the backbone of every single conversation we want to have. And Mr. Adonis has actually even brought it up to the fore about the fact that the presence of electricity is really going to help people with job creation, because the little resources you have, you're not thinking of it to generate your own power. And so that has shown that most of these simple resources are really important foundations to kickstart innovation and kickstart wealth creation. So I want to ask you, how can technology be leveraged to address some of our most pressing economic challenges, and the most pressing being poverty and inequality? We heard Mr. Adonis talk about the fact that, okay, we're saying Yahoo boys do X and Y. But if we can bring them, and because there's something called ethical hacking, if we can bring them to use technology in an ethical way, we would see that they, of course, solving problems like poverty, inequality, and of course, bringing transparency into government relations. So how do you think technology can be leveraged to actually solve these pressing economic challenges, two of them being poverty and inequality? Thank you.
Thank you. I might not be able to keep my for long. I'm on the road driving.
Hello, Mr.
Are
Abrams.
you able to hear me?
Not quite well,
Yeah,
but I can hear you now.
okay, you can hear me. Okay. So I'm gonna turn off my video and I'll just do audio, if that is okay.
Right, right.
All right. So first, if you can still hear me, I'm going to continue to say that technology is everything. Every time we interpret what is either spiritual or intangible into reality, what we are doing in effect is using science to convert ideas into reality. Now, what we need to do more of is to actually spot opportunity. It is said that by year 2050, Nigeria will be over 400 million people. Now, when you look at that, you look at the fact that, and if we continue on the trend that we are right now, if more than 50%, I mean, it's projected at over 60%, but let's assume that more than 50% of those people will be youth, will be young people under the age of 40. Then what we are saying in essence is that Nigeria will have a pool of talented 200 million people on the face of the earth. That is huge. And I'm going to give you a short story, yeah, of why, going back to what other speakers like Hillary and the other, my Arsenal, is it Felicia, Miss Alabi, my Arsenal fan, had said. Now, I'll give you a short story, yeah, of why electricity would also help us to be able to focus on making sure that there is an enabling environment for our youth to strive. In the year 1997, I left Nigeria, left my university pursuit, and I went into the country called Ivory Coast, that is Cote d'Ivoire. Yeah. In Cote d'Ivoire, and the record is there, that I got there in April of 1997, and by November, I was already interpreting from French to English in the church. The church record is there, it's Winners Chapel out there. We started the church around then. By the time it was April of the next year, 1 year, I was already interpreting from French to English. By December 1999, I had already released the first Nigerian to release a music album in that country. Why was it possible for me? I was listening to TV5. Today, I speak French as good as my English. But I could listen to TV 24 hours. I could listen to TV5. I could listen to radio. I could go to the American embassy in my house. I could listen because there was no shortage of electricity. The potential that we can harness in Nigeria, that when we have uninterrupted electricity, not just uninterrupted electricity, like what we've got at the moment. Just allow me a little bit of time to break this down for you. What we have at the moment is powered by our capitalistic tendencies. Every sector in Nigeria, whoever is in charge of it, maybe it's discos, maybe it's the electricity generation, everybody is looking to make a kill. Government itself is looking for maximum revenue. So what you get then is that you put so much pressure on the people. The purchasing power of the people is very little, but the price of things are very high. It's going to be very, very difficult for us to see development. But on the side of the people, we have also thrived in the midst of this adversity.
I'm going to say that, for youth, for young people, like some of the young tech people that are on the platform right now are doing, we need to continue to spot opportunity. At that point in that country, I was a young guy working in the church as a music director, but I spotted an opportunity because I became a baby of what they call African Development Bank, ADB. Almost all the top officials there see me as their younger brother or their son, and I begin to have more access to computer. Before I know it, by I think early 1998, I'd gone to Senegal to get trained on the internet. So it was then I brought internet into Ivory. I mean, a lot of young people in Ivory Coast, it also coming back into Nigeria to show people how to set up dial-up network. And so, do you know what that got me to know? The team called Nadeco. I mean, at that point, the president now was running for. He has not yet. They were running for to be a governor at the time. That's how I met his team. That's how I work with them. I begin to do a lot of technological work for them. And today I have that relationship with that team. So the opportunities are there. The same thing when I got into Europe over nearly 24 years ago, I will go into China and go and listen to what next technology is coming. And then I'll bring that into Europe. So even our young people, we need to not only innovate, but we also need to sometimes position ourselves to spot opportunities. Two ways, and I'll end with this, that we can spot opportunity. There are many ways, but I'll give you two ways. Number one way you can spot opportunity is that we go for technological trade fairs. It's very easy to get Chinese visa. It's very easy to go to Turkey. It's very easy. Go around the world, sponsor yourself, enlarge your mind. Some of these innovative conferences are also now available online. Attend them and see what is coming. Know what is coming in 15 years. Know what is coming in 30 years. Then when you see what is coming, what in the context of Africa or in the context of Nigeria, what can you add to it? What can you add to it? The second way to do that is also you can learn this spiritually. And I'm sure some of us are going to laugh, or think this is a joke. But if you actually, either you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, Buddhist, or what have you, you can learn the power of meditation to get what we call brainchild. You can have eureka moments where you can actually have ideas that have never existed before or improvement on what is right now. And that can happen through the power of meditation. And I can bet you this is how people like Steve Jobs, how people like Zuckerberg wouldn't innovate himself. But in the 70s, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and the rest of them, some of them have to take psychedelics in order for them to enter into realms to be able to see ideas. Nigeria has a great future, and we must spot opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abraham. Thank you. We could also see in your submission the reason why you are also a clergyman. Thank you for bringing that aspect into life. I was listening to a clergyman speak about Wi-Fi, and he said that the reason why we lack faith is laughable because we say we must see things before we believe. But do you see Bluetooth? You don't. Do you see Wi-Fi? You don't, but you use it. So why is it difficult for us to have faith in the things we build and the things we believe can cause impact changes? So thank you so much for that submission. And just if I could add what you said about how we can actually get innovation, that was actually correct. I was privileged to be in an event organized by Daystar Business Academy, founded by Daystar Christian Center. And one of the keynote speakers was saying that the smartest or one of the smartest ways to build is not to try to innovate anything new, but is simply to do what we call mirroring similar societies. And in his submission, he said similar societies to Nigeria, because of our own economic growth and trajectory, that those societies would be, number one, India, will be Bangladesh, because they are coming out of where we want to come out from. We are third world country, they are transitioning to second world. So what can we see that they did that took them out of third world? What are the technologies that they advanced? What are the innovations that they created to actually grow their society? We can just study that, of course, take it and now add African and Nigerian context to it, because of course at the end of the day we are building for a Nigerian audience and we are building for Nigerian users. So that is another way that you can actually make that practical. Look at some solutions, some infrastructure, some softwares that are being used to solve problems in those societies, and see if they have any value where we are, and see how you can innovate around them and add, or what I would say, the African source to it. So thank you so much, Mr. Abraham. Thank you for that great submission. I'll be coming to you, Cynthia. And my question for you would be, you are very much ingrained in the technology space, specifically startups. But away from that, my question would be, let us look futuristic. We have trajected this conversation from, of course, independence, from our history, and now we're slowly entering into the digital and our future right now. So this segment is more about the future of tech in Nigeria. My question for you is, what are your predictions for the Nigeria's tech industry, and what are the potential game changers? What do you think are the potential game-changing solutions that you may have been privileged to see being built with respect to your own exposure, whether with ideas in hubs and everything, as much as it is allowed to share? What are some of the game-changing solutions that you have seen, or what are the predictions that you believe can actually set our industry in Nigeria to a much higher scale? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Mo. I'll just answer thinking. I think that we are on to get better, right? And the reason why I would say this is because as much as we're seeing the government become a little more supportive, we're also seeing individuals just take the bull by the horn, right? So if we continue, I think there's a lot that's going to happen in the future for Nigeria. We've moved from a place where we would refer to Nigeria as, would I say, new or entry into digital technology, into a place where shortly we're seeing a lot of people come, hubs are being built, right? So it means that there's opportunity here, right? And that's already been tapped, right? And in the little future, we would start seeing like people, right, reap the fruit of that opportunity that's being tapped. To the second part of your question, is what do we think, or what do I think the game changer? I think AI, right? The adoption of AI, right, into like a lot of like our processes, right, is actually like a game changer, right? And I think that there's going to be a lot happening, right, where we would see a lot more things, right, being automated, right, and AI taking a lot in the way tech companies and even traditional companies like just do things. So I think that's where I see a lot more innovation, where people are creating more things that AI can do for them, right, and making life easier and kind of just making things better for us as a country. So yes, definitely, I see the future for technology is bright in Nigeria. And in terms of a game changer, I think AI is more innovations around AI would be like what would be the game changer.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for that submission. All right, Mr.
Yeah,
Hillary,
please.
you're up next.
Yeah. I'd like to add to what Cynthia said. So I think this would be an idea for people so not just Nigeria, Africa. So there is a pattern that we are seeing in the way we work. So the idea that if we get to understand that for any business to be successful, if it can influence the way we work, if it can influence the way we love, if it can influence the way we die, all right, majorly those three areas, you're actually shaping, you know, something really significant. So if you look at the pattern, you know, of how work is going now, there is an increase in remote work and all of that. So in that line, if we begin to, if entrepreneurs begin to see that you can build a system where, and because there are a lot of talents in Africa, many businesses in, you know, the United States, you know, all of those countries, they also want to tap into the talent that we have in Africa. So tech guys, or even if you're not a tech person, you are an entrepreneur, you can leverage, you know, the skill of tech people and build a system where those guys in diaspora can access the talent in Africa. So build a platform, you know, a platform where you can access these guys, and then, you know, you can, you are ultimately helping, you know, remote work globally. All right. There's also that part where, because there have been so many people relocating outside the country, and the kids of people that have relocated don't understand, you know, the depth of our culture, you know, our history, you know, language and all of that. They really want that, but because of the system, you know, of what we have in Nigeria, you know, they are unable to, you know, to stay, you know, raise kids and all of that. So a business idea in that regard is building also a platform where these children can learn, you know, our culture, they can, you know, learn our our language. So we are getting to all this, you know, parts of our lives where you don't have to be somewhere physically, all right, to get things done. So if we can start building things like this, and there's something I call I call it system to system. So even if you don't have the skill, you can leverage the skill of developers to build these things for you. You have the idea, they build these things for you, and this is how you can begin to penetrate the global market, and you know, ultimately start earning even in foreign currency. So what I'm trying to say in essence is we need to start building businesses that will not only solve our local problem, which is very key, but it will also solve the problem of people that are not resident in the nation at the moment, and it will also solve global, you know, problems, and take the capacity of African talent also to the global space. Yeah. So those are areas that we are getting into, and we need to begin to leverage all of those things. Yeah.
All right, thank you. I will come back to your question, but I can see Cynthia's hand is up. Cynthia, please, do you want to go?
Thanks, Hillary, for pointing that out. Yeah, you're actually definitely right. I just also wanted to add something, and maybe just a little bit, because I guess, and I don't know like the data of the audience that we have today, but just wanting to put this also into perspective that to grow the tech industry, right, apart from like business and innovation, because again, we might have people in the room who are not people who want to build, right, but want to work for like people who are building in this space, right? Especially for somebody who's in the non-technical part of like the tech industry, I always like to mention in every space I speak that don't also think that the fact that you're non-technical does not mean you do not have any value, right? To add into like how Nigeria is growing in the tech space, or how like the tech industry is growing. There are a lot of other opportunities, right? With the skills that you have today that you can add on, right? You just need to learn a bit more about like the industry or the product, and then you can also like just come play your own part like in growing things. So you do not have to be a founder or start the business, right? But if you find yourself like in a situation where you think you're interested in the tech space and you think you have value to add, whatever skills you have today, right, you can actually just transition in, right, and then you can also add more value, because yes, the ideas will come, but we also like just need people who are skilled in other places for these ideas to grow. Imagine somebody building something very fantastic without salespeople to preach the gospel, for their product to be sold, or without like customer service people to attend to the customers, you would build and the business would not grow, right? So I think that's also something that we need to also think about as we think about like the advancing of the tech industry or tech in Nigeria. People can also like who are not technical can get interested and start learning, right? And contribute to what's happening.
All right, thank you so much. It's really important that you brought that aspect to fore, because the conversation can sound like it is more for just builders and technologies, but even in technology, like Mr. Abraham was saying that Steve Jobs maybe had this idea, created this, but you still have people who need to communicate how this product will be beneficial. You still have people who create regulatory frameworks around this, and these are non-technical people. So just like I had mentioned, the fact that collaboration is needed between traditional banks and fintechs, collaboration is also needed between technical and non-technical people, because that's the beautiful marriage that now creates a healthy ecosystem. Because we've seen how unhealthy balance can, of course, create with what we thought was going to be a life-changing technology. It now creates even more disparity and divide, and causes more divide between what you would say the rich and poor, or the marginalized and the non-marginalized. So it's very important that we all hands are on deck and we're able to create systems and of course solutions that have healthy balance. And that's one way of doing it, by bringing technical and non-technical talent people into the same room to actually ideate and take action on solutions. So thank you so much for that beautiful aspects. And so, Mr. Abraham, I would love to come to you on this if you're able to speak. But then, Mr. Hillary, I also want you to chip in on this. We have actually intersected this in a conversation about how our industry can be positioned to compete globally. I know you mentioned the indie hacker solution, and of course, how we can ideate around beyond our own local space. But then, I know we have also touched on the key challenges that need to be addressed. Number one being electricity, and of course, policies and all of that. But from the digital age to the now AI age, like Ms. Cynthia had said, what are some unique possibilities you see as beneficial to Nigerians, and of course their businesses and the country as a whole? What are some possibilities you've seen as beneficial to Nigerians, the country, and of course the citizens? Mr. Abraham, I'll go with you first, and then Mr. Hillary, please, just quick 2 minute submission if you can.
Well, if I could say, one of the things that is peculiar to Nigeria is our genius gene. By nature, you'll find that everywhere Nigerians are, or that Nigerians live, we thrive. Not just the most educated among us, we also see those who are not educated but talented. So there is this, I wrote a song some time ago that I can tell if you're a Nigerian, anywhere you are in the world, even if you are mixed race, I can tell if you have a Nigerian gene in you. Because an ordinary Nigerian has a gene of productivity, a gene of creativity, a gene. So I wrote that song that said, I can tell you are a Nigerian coming out of Africa, no matter where you dare. You are still a black man, you got a gene in you. You got a gene, and we have to leverage on the fact that, like they say of Indians, or like they say of the Jew, the gene Nigerian is a very potent gene. We are the best among the blacks. So any person out there, you got to know that you are not inferior to any human being on earth. You are one of the best type of human being that has been created. You are the best type of your color. You are the best prototype of God's creation. That's one. Number two is that there are many things that we're not leveraging on yet, but is so abundant with us. One of it is our agriculture, but in terms of agriculture, I'll move to medicinal or herbs, what my Yoruba people or my parents will call agbo. I have a client, for example, I help her to move to Canada. This lady, would travel to UK, travel to France, and go to Indian restaurant. And she would like the Indian curry, chicken tikka and all the kind of different seasoning of the Indians. And then at some point, she went back into Nigeria, and she will go into some farm in Osun State, some farm in the north, and take some of those seeds, and she formed our own seasonings, our own kind of seasonings. Now she has about 11 or 13 to 11 products now, and I'm not joking to you. She's a young lady with her husband. As at the time I was going to help them to move to Canada, which is just a little over 2 years ago, she was making a revenue of it already from Abuja, where they live. They were making a revenue from their export of over $1 million already, just by packaging what we know. And from some of these things, some of us have been able to also develop products from what we will call agbo, from little things like cashew and what have you. So we have the opportunity that we have land, arable of land, we have agriculture, we have herbs. We can develop these things into technology, into products that the whole world need. And we can learn packaging. I mean, the organizers will help you in the future. Myself and my cousin or my business partner, we're putting together a packaging company that can help people that have this kind of idea and package them, put them into products and send to anywhere abroad. So the opportunities are there. There are things that are abundant in Nigeria. First is the gin. Second is agricultural produce that we can use technology to package and send to the rest of the world, and you can leverage on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I love the honesty and vulnerability in our speakers. And for me, this has been such a rich conversation because you have brought your personal stories and also your honesty and vulnerability today. So, Mr. Hillary, please, could you just touch on that question for just 2 quick minutes?
Okay, all right. So the beauty about Nigeria is we have a lot of problems. And where there are problems, all right, there are unlimited opportunities. So what we now have to do as Nigerians is to leverage the nature that we have, which is creativity. We are very creative. So look at a problem that we have so many problems. I can keep on mentioning, and I'll mention a couple of them and just briefly talk about the business model around them, and anyone that feels they can run with it can run with it. So look at the problem that we have, then take your creativity. So either you are a tech person or you are not a tech person. It should not hinder whatever you want to do. If you're not a tech person, you can set up a tech team or leverage people that are into tech to help you build these things. If you're a tech person, good for you. So now, take for example, we have so many Nigerians that are relocating today, right? And we also have Airbnb. Now you can actually build your own Airbnb just for Nigerians that are in diaspora. So Nigerians in diaspora, they want to look for, they want a nice place they can stay when they are coming back, and all of that. They want to see the nice resort, in Lagos, in Akure, or wherever in Abuja, and all of that. So you can build something where these guys, they can go to your app, or they can go to your either mobile app or web app, and they can see all of these things, either subscribe or pay by as they use it, depending on how you want to do it. And they can check for different nice Airbnb in Lagos or any other place, or nice resort where they can chill with their family, and all of that. So that is a problem, and that's a solution that people in the real estate sector can also, can leverage. I mentioned the part of the remote work. We have a lot of Nigerians that are highly skilled, and I'm saying this from experience. I have a lot of people that work with me today, and I've never seen them before. In fact, my manager that manages a large part of our business, I've never seen my manager for once. I've never seen him before, but he's doing a whole lot of things. He's engaging with clients, and stuff like that. So when we open our eyes, so rather than complaining, we see. So if you go to United States, you go to UK, of course the opportunity is there, but we don't have so much problem. Probably our problem is on that level, but we have so many problems that we can easily tap into, and there are so many quote and unquote loopholes that we can quickly tap into to create solutions, all right, that people can, benefit from in Nigeria. So now, even in that, now leveraging artificial intelligence to fast track, a lot of these things, people don't understand how much ChatGPT can do for them. You can literally turn ChatGPT to your personal assistant, engage it, and as you are thinking, you are rubbing with ChatGPT, you will come out with a full-fledged business idea that you can run with almost immediately. All right. So I think that the major thing that I'm saying here is Nigerians will actually look at the problems that we have in our country and our own unique genius, that capacity to create. The first thing that we saw, I was telling my friend recently, the first thing that we saw about God was that God created. All right. And all of the products of God are global. Human, one of his products, global. Sand, global. Rain, global. His products are everywhere. So as humans, we should also not limit ourselves just to our local. We should ensure that we also spread significantly to different parts of the world by looking at problems that we have, create solutions around it, and then we begin to drive it from there. And sorry, lastly, let me also say this lastly, that any business in Nigeria, a key skill that you must have, very, very important, even if you don't know how to code or anything, is digital marketing. It's very, very important. If you can master digital marketing excellently, you can drive your business far and wide. Google ads, social media ads, know it for yourself, all right? And you can really use that to drive your business significantly at a high level. All right, yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for ending it with that submission of selling, because a lot of people are shy of selling. A lot of people don't want to intersect with selling, but like a founder told me, selling is what brings the money that we pay salary. So we all need to know how to sell. As we are on this call, we are selling Nigerians, we're selling Nigeria, and also trying to sell the right atmosphere in Nigeria. So thank you for that. Mr. Adonis, I'll come to you on this as we're winding down. This question is a two-part question, and please, any other panelists who feels it important to chip on, just raise your hand, because I believe it's one of the most important questions we're going to ask on this call and dissect. It is the fact that what existing or deliberated government policy, in your opinion, is the most threatening to technology advancement in Nigeria? I'll take that slowly. What existing or deliberated government policy, in your opinion, so far is the most threatening to technology advancement in Nigeria? And the opposite of that question is, what existing or deliberated government policy, in your opinion, is the most encouraging to technology advancement in Nigeria? So two-part question, but opposite siblings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Imo. Let me hit the ground running. I'd like to answer the questions from question 2, back to 1. Presently, I'll be honest with you, I can't see any encouraging policy that government has made to encourage the tech industry. I'm talking about this new dispensation from last year, May to date. I can't see any practical move that they have made, apart from the individual, effort that Dr. Bosun Tijani has been taking, to go into the world, then his initiatives of building hubs. And you can see that the last hub that they built somewhere in the north, was destroyed when they were, protesting in August. So back to what they are doing, that is hampering the development in that sector. The number one will still come as power. You see, when you take care of the power sector, you understand, we're talking about power, we're talking about technology. This is what, we need on daily basis. If the power sector and the technology, and energy sector is well taken care of, you have time. You have the allowance to think about what you want to do with your life. But if you wake up, there's no power. We are going to the office, we are not sure there will be power. I just learned yesterday that NNPC has now pegged the cost of petroleum to something around 1,000 naira. So how do you thrive in such an economy? How do you thrive? Countries that are doing well today, they are not, countries that are grappling with power. They are not grappling with energy. Well, it may be expensive, but it's available. It's available. And even the being expensive that we are talking about, if you do it comparatively, if you look at what people are earning here compared to where people are buying fuel, maybe $3 for premium petrol in United States of America, what do they get per hour of the job that they do? So there's no policy. Honestly, I don't see any policy that is encouraging that sector presently, other than for we entrepreneurs, like I said earlier, to take the bull by the horn, to do personal development. I know we are talking about technology. This is one of the most powerful sector as of today. I was reading a digest on Forbes yesterday that an average tech guys are being recruited in the United States of America now for about $250,000 per annum. So if you divide $250 per annum, you're talking about $20,000 dollars per month for a tech guy. When I was doing my founder's visa in US, sometimes in 2022, 2023, I met a guy, one of the attorneys that a number of companies in New York that were looking for tech guys that can write codes, developers, that these are people that they are willing, that people are abroad, they are even willing to sponsor their visa, and they have already made $150,000 for. We have to develop ourselves. And there's a saying that if there's anything you should be selfish about, is self-development. So that, because we have a government that you can't totally rely on. So he's one man for himself, so that the little you can do to develop yourself, you make yourself a person of value. And by the time you are a person of value, you are able to attract opportunities globally. Like Hilary said, don't limit yourself, to the map of Nigeria. You have to think global. I mean, today I'm a licensed realtor in Texas. I had some people that wanted to, check some of the properties that I listed on MLS, and they were like, they wanted to go. So all I did is just to pick my phone. We have the MLS showing. I gave them the code to the lock set. They were able to, build the property. I don't have to leave Lagos to go and show them any property in Texas. So that's how things. So, but if I haven't developed myself to that extent, I won't be able to take opportunity, of doing that. So we have to look inwards. We have to develop ourselves. We have to be true to ourselves. We have to be true to ourselves that this government, they are doing the best that they think they can. But in this sector, how do I take advantage, of the opportunities, my brothers? And you can imagine somebody earning $240,000 per annum. If you multiply it by with the Naira rate today, you are getting close to how much? So the opportunities are there. Let's educate ourselves. Let's look for the information. We have YouTube. A lot of people are doing great and greater things today. And most of them are self-taught. It's good to go to school. It's good to go to boot camps. But what are you doing individually when you are in your own corner? I think that's what we work with the, present situation that our country find ourselves in. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that submission, and thank you, of course, for sharing with us how technology is helping advance your own personal life. It's very interesting, and it makes us know that we can actually be one thing, but of course, if we grow ourselves to become valuable, we can actually delve into various sectors and be like a tree that Bible says planted by the riverside, because you bear fruits that feed so many people and feed so many sectors, and of course, bring more wealth to yourself. And you actually do good with that ethically. And so I would like to round up with this question for all the speakers. And so I know that from all of the conversation we've had for over close to 2 hours now, that we have had some key takeaways. Mr. Hillary has been so generous with key takeaways and action points, and you as well, you've called out some action points that we can take. I love how Ms. Cynthia was talking about the fact that as a non-technical person, the key takeaway is to see how you can have a space and sit at the table. And we ensure, and this is for all speakers, just a quick 1 minute. How can we ensure that the benefits of technology are equitably distributed and that no one is left behind? Because in this drive of transformation, in this drive of, oh, we can latch onto this, we can do this, we can do amazing things, we can always see that without the right mindset, or without like the people-centered mindset to things, people are always ensure that in this good we are trying to do with technology, with digital advancement, what can we do to ensure that the benefits of technology are equitably distributed and that no one is left behind? Please, 1 minute from all the speakers. I will start with you, Mr. Adonis, since you're on my screen.
So what we can do
Mr.
to make
Adonis,
sure
can you
that,
hear me?
yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
please. So I will start with you, and then Mr. Hillary, Mr. Abraham, and then Cynthia. Thank you.
So what I think we can do to make the dividend equitable is to take our future into our hand. I'll be honest with you, a lot of people, I mean, all over the world are thinking about what can I do to make the world a better place. And when you have that philosophy, what can I do to make the world a better place? In the process, you make yourself more valuable and you attract opportunities. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Hillary.
My glasses. Okay, all right. So I think I will just mention about 2 to 3 things I think we can do to make the dividend of tech equitable for Nigerians. I think one would be we need to promote digital literacy significantly. All right, so a widespread of digital skills training, especially in schools. So how can we incorporate a pragmatic way of teaching people tech in our educational system, not teaching a child computer education and you're having to draw the computer on the board, you are drawing the mouse with chalk. So how can we do that practically? That's one. Number two,
Mr. Hillary, can you hear me? We lost you. All right, so sorry, but Mr. Abraham, please, you can go next if you're on the call.
Okay. From my side, I will say that the dividends of technology will never be equitable. It is what you make of the opportunities available that you get out of it. The world is already equitable in the fact that everybody is given 24 hours. Every day we wake up, God gives us all. It's like a deposit that is into our bank. If life is a bank, each of us, we are our own, your name or whatever you are your own account number of life. So it can never be equitable. It is what each person will make of the opportunities of YouTube, of the resources, of like Hilary was saying, or the first person that spoke also, teaching people in more schools. No matter what we teach, only those who are ready will take advantage for it. So I will be bent on each of us and everyone that is listening will have to take out the opportunity because the world is not equitable.
Thank you for that honesty. Cynthia, please.
sorry, my internet kicked me out.
Yes, sorry. You can go on,
Okay.
and then Mrs. Cynthia she will go next.
Okay, so yeah, so I talked about digital literacy, and the last one I'll mention is expanding digital infrastructure. So how can we increase access to affordable and high-speed internet in rural, not only in urban areas, also in rural areas. All right, so yeah, majorly that. And the last one I just want to chip in is an inclusive tech policy. All right, so advocate for government policy that supports innovation, while we also ensure that the benefits reach out to everyone. So yeah, those are the 3 things that I think I'll mention for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Digital literacy, infrastructure development, and of course, local penetration. Thank you. Ms. Cynthia, please.
So I would say that it starts from the people building, right? I remember when Iroko launched in Nigeria and they were trying to get customers, right? They quickly understood that not everybody had access to data, which meant that the benefit of a video on demand product, right, would not be available to people, right, or equitably distributed just because people of the high cost of data. They started thinking and they launched the opportunity for people to be able to download movies and share already downloaded movies. That way, a lot more people could get access, right? Not only just people who could afford buying data. So I would say that as we also like just innovate, right? Thinking about like the underserved people, people who don't have, because our reality is what it is, right? The cost of data might not change anytime soon. Electricity might not be 24 hours anytime soon, right? But whatever we're building, can we also think about these people, the people in the rural areas where we also like just can make adjustments? Because what I also see is when people start companies, right, and they're looking at their total addressable market, there's so much focus on the number of people that have access to mobile phones, that have access to internet, and we just keep building for this kind of people. Can we start building for the people that are outside like this space? So I would say that's something we can do to then like just ensure that the benefits of technology is equitable distributed.
Thank you so much. I really love that point. And it's interesting because I saw something someone said online that and it's funny, and he said that we keep saying that we want to that we are targeting the 18 to 35 in our target customer segmentation. Like, how many payment processors are we going to build for a very large, for a very small number of people who I think by is it NDIC, the National Insurance Commissioner said that about is it only 20% of Nigerians have less than 500,000 in their account. So like, how many processing systems are we going to build for this very small catchment area? Whereas there are people who are marginalized. We're seeing, of course, it's becoming a buzzword, but we're seeing people say, oh, we're reaching the unbanked, we're doing this for this. But like, can we, beyond the buzzwords, now innovate and create real solutions that solve real problems for real people beyond people around us? I've forgotten the startup's name, but they're an agri-tech. They do the same thing which you would see in any pitch competition. Oh, we're doing this for local farmers. We're providing funding for them, or providing feeds and fertilizers. But all of these things at the end of the day is still going to be accessed through a web app or mobile app. But what I've seen them do is that a local farmer in Borno State, in Nasarawa, in Niger State, they can access their platform with a USSD code, so they can actually get everything that you would get on the mobile app through USSD. That's innovating around and doing what we call inclusive building, inclusive technology building. So I'm really happy that you brought that to the fore, because we can be so tunnel vision thinking that, oh, we just want to build for this space, but then we have to carry everyone along and make sure that this actually touches everybody. I saw a graphic that says that equality is keeping a box, like a chair for everyone to climb on. So whether I am 5 feet tall, I am 6 feet tall, Miss Abraham is 7 feet tall, that is equality. And we're going to be looking over the same fence, but that is not true equality. True equality is equity in giving a 4 foot person a longer stool, giving a 7 foot person a shorter stool, so that they can all see from the same vantage point and have the same access to what you would say enjoyment, really. So thank you, Ms. Cynthia, for that great point. Please, audience, we've had such a very rich conversation. Please, if you have any questions, you can drop it in the chat or Q&A section, or if you have any questions, you can raise up your hands right now, and we'll bring you up to stage. Thank you so much for being with us this time. So this is Q&A. In case you have any comments, suggestions, or questions, I have one here from Peace, who joined from Lagos, but I would allow, in case anyone has any questions from the audience, to actually raise their hand or just highlight in the Q&A, and our admin would bring it to 4. All right, so while we wait for that, let me just take this question by Keith. Just please hold on, let me take the question again. And so Cynthia, so she says that this is for Miss Cynthia and Mr. Hillary. And she says that she's seen that the question that was asked to Mr. Adonis, that yes, that there may not be an existing policy, but that in her experience working for tech companies, she has seen a lot of abuse of power and privileges by founders, and that this has really caused a lot of like mental health issues and of course toxic workplaces. That the that what is one policy, because the government is more like to be a watchdog. I know that labor laws in Nigeria are really, really porous. So she's asking that what's one policy that doesn't exist in workplaces or in startups and all of these technology hubs? What is one policy that you that doesn't exist that you think or you wish should exist, and why should that policy exist to protect people and to, as we are building, but like we have to also protect people. So Miss Cynthia, that's for you, and also Mr. Hillary. She said she wanted those two people to answer that question, and anyone else who wants to chip in.
Do you want my genuine thoughts and opinion on this topic?
Yes, yes, sir.
So the truth is, yes, I definitely know that there's been abuse, right, which is not restricted to tech, right? Even in traditional environments, right, we find this. Our personalities will always show up, right, and there'll always be bad actors, right? So it's not a thing where it's wide, right? But in terms of mental health and all of that, right, the truth is, even when we're in places where there are policies in place or we have like great culture, right? The tech space is actually a place that's very fast paced. As such, right, individuals would also need to play a role in ensuring that their mental health remains balanced, right? I know, and I remember that there was a point I got to right at Uber where we were growing so much, we're doing so much, and then COVID set in and movements were grounded, right? It took a lot for me to get myself to an okay place because I just couldn't understand like why I wasn't seeing as much results as I used to see before. And I was thinking, I was spending more hours trying to develop strategies and implement different things just to ensure that I saw a change in my numbers. But at some point, I needed to take a step backward and like, hey, you'll break down. So I know that we would love to hear, and I'm sorry to the person who asked this question, right? What policy the government would put in to ensure that like things I think if there are going to be policies, it shouldn't just be restricted to tech, right? It should be like everywhere. And this definitely would be like nation like wide, right? In terms of like the laws that we're putting in terms of like ensuring the organizations, because for instance the organizations that up to date do not have like HMOs, right, for their employees and all of that. So I do not necessarily think it should be limited to tech, right, but I would love to see if there's a policy for it to be deployed around where employers should be held accountable, right, for providing basic things, right, health care, access to, and I think that's part of the healthcare. Now, some HMOs now offer you the opportunity to be able to talk to like a psychologist or something, right? Yeah, but above that, and I'm sorry, I'm one for leave the things I can change and focus on the things that I can change. I would say, whilst you're in that space, right? If you think it's too much, please move out. And I understand because sometimes you can't resign immediately from a place that's toxic because where would you get your next meal from? But you can start speaking like around to people. You can also like put your feet on the ground. We saw a lot of it happen on social media where people were being called out, right? we can stop keeping quiet, and we can start also trying to prioritize our mental health, ensuring that we have proper work-life balance. So yes, the government can do something, but I would also just say, again, do the ones you can do for yourself, right? Whilst we wait for the government, because it might take a longer time.
Thank you so much for that honesty and beautiful submission. Mr. Hillary, please.
Okay, sorry. So I think the question, I did not really get the question about how employees' mental health can be protected. That was it about.
Yes, so she's saying that yes, what's one policy that we spoke about policy earlier on, but that what is one policy that doesn't exist in like the tech space in workplaces that you wish should exist and why? To protect people, to make sure that as we're building tech and building all of this world and everything, that people are protected and like people are put at the forefront.
Okay. Sorry, please, can we still hear me? Hello, can we hear me, please?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so I think I would just also be specific, writing on what Cynthia has said, and let me just put it on the mental health thing. So I think one of the points that does not exist that can be created is probably something like a mandatory mental health leave policy. All right. So what this would do is, it will allow employees to take like a dedicated leave, specifically for mental health recovery. All right. So we have like all this sick leave, those kind of things like that. And so I think it's necessary that, because when we are building stuff, creating things, aside the stress of work, all right, there's also the stress of also building as a tech person or whatever. So also our own personal issues that you might not be able to mention or talk about in your workspace and all of that. So I think there should be something like a mandatory mental health leave policy, all right, and if I'm correct, I think today is even like a mental health day globally, I think so. So I think that kind of policy can be created, and beyond creating it, there should also be probably a body that monitors the enforcement of execution of this policies in workplaces. All right, so I know that a lot of things happens in the workspace and all of that. So I think if this kind of policy is created, I think it will really help a great deal. Yeah, so that's it from my end.
All right. So sorry, I got locked out by network, so I'm just joining. So sorry about that. But I was saying that if Mr. Adonis or Mr. Abraham has any quick point to relate to that, just
I can quickly chip in something on this.
uh,
That first of all, we have to realize that Nigeria probably has every law that exists in any country already. What we might be struggling with is the implementation of those laws, or even the awareness of those laws. And from experience in creating businesses in Nigeria, I realized that the Nigerian environment does not aid people to be aware of laws, rather to police people or to trap people, is when people are in problem that the law becomes obvious. So in two ways. Number one, to every one of us that probably are employers on the platform, to be sure that our employee handbook contain as many policy that the employment law should cover. Number two, also as employees, for those who are employees and are listening, if the company you work with does not have a particular law in place or policy in place, you can actually respectfully help to create one or to have a meeting with stakeholders and say, look, I have a feeling that we need this in this organization that can help us to be able to mitigate against this kind of risk or this kind of issues. And like one of our speakers has also said, if you've done all you can do, probably engage stakeholders, and there is no change, if the environment remains toxic, you have the right to pull out of that workplace. It's better for you to save your own sanity than for you to remain, because you want to put food on your table, remain in a toxic place. But also, you can also report things if it is very, very toxic. You can also report things to the necessary authorities, to help. But for every one of us, we can, there is a mental health idea that has been brought, that has been created, if it does not already exist. But every one of us can look around our workplace and see what is it there that we can implement. Some time ago, I think we realized something. I had an office somewhere in Lekki, and we put a generator when there's no light. We put generator, but downstairs, there are about 13 people working on the ground floor of my office. And this generator, there's a particular lady, she will come and meet me when I'm in Nigeria, and she'll say to me, sir, this generator is affecting me mentally. We have to find a way to listen to her and take the generator far away, build a new place for the generator to be, can be as simple as that. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that great submission. Mr. Adonis, I don't know if you have any closing thoughts on that. We're taking closing remarks from our speakers.
Like our other distinguished speakers have submitted, I would just like to, I totally align with what they have said, but I'd like to stress that it's important we take personal responsibility for our mental health, because people may be offending you, they may be affecting you mentally, and they may not know. They might be doing it naively. Like Mr. Abraham said, that you have to know what is available. What are the provisions that has been made in the handbook of the company? Then you have to say it out, because you never know what can be done if you say it. If you are just suffering in silence, nobody will know that they are hurting you, or that, what they are doing is affecting you adversely. Because a lot of leaders, a lot of managers are not leaders. Leaders are empathic. They are not just bothered you personally. So maybe to entrepreneurs that employs people, be an open book, be empathic, not just about delivering the project, not just about the revenue, but it's also about the well-being, because these are people that reflect, the kind of brand that you are trying to build. But most importantly, individually, let's take mental health. If you are working in an environment and you are not happy doing the job, you are being bullied, because even this case is two ways. You understand? A lot of people might think they are being affected mentally, and they might be the main factor. They might be the main contributing factor. To them being treated that way. So we need to take responsibility. If you are not feeling well mentally, you need to think. Mr. Abraham was talking about taking time to think. Bishop in his house, he has like a library where he goes to think. So whatever you are going through mentally, you need to identify and analyze what the problem is. Your health matters, because if you drop dead tomorrow or you go into depression, the company will continue. So the point I'm stressing is to take personal responsibility, analyze the situation, think about it critically. Think about it in a way that you are able to apportion where the problem is coming from, so that you'll be able to use that to take necessary steps to your well-being. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you so much, and I'm really happy because you struck a very beautiful point about the fact that some managers are not leaders, and you brought the human aspect to it. And this is a charge to everyone on the call, whether you're an employee, a potential employer, or a current employer. we are all, I think like the Bible says, we are all growing and becoming. It is okay if you were not aware of these things that were lacking in your space, because maybe at the beginning stage you were so focused on maybe customer product value, product market fit. Yes, now you have attained some stability, right? It is now time to start thinking more about the people, because if you are to get to where you want to get to, it is people that are going to get you there. If I could just take a quote from Richard Branson, the owner of Virgin Atlantic Airlines, a billionaire. He said that he was asked what is his secret to treating people right, and of course having happy employees. He said, treat people so well that they don't have a reason to leave. And the beautiful thing in my experience is that even when you leave good managers or good leaders, you become an advocate for that company. So imagine if in the beginning years of, maybe if I could name drop based or whatever, I am seeing a trend where ex-employees of startups are now becoming founders themselves. So, like Mr. Abraham said, you have to be futuristic if you are actually cultivating a bad culture. When people leave you and they go open up their own enterprise, that's the only thing they know. So they're going to replicate that bad culture across board, and more people are going to get affected. But if you plant the right seed, when people grow under you, that's the only thing they know, because that's what they've seen work. They're going to also replicate that. So our prayers are going to be lessened because people are actually doing the right things. The need to much for more prayers is going to be reduced, right? And it's all about doing the right things, and of course, make sure that we ourselves are held accountable and we try to do the right things and make sure that the right systems are around us. Thank you so much. This has been the Tech Economy Business Series by Techeconomy in partnership with Thinking Cap Consulting firm. This is one of the series to actually dissect product innovation, technology advancement, and how it all connects to businesses and economies. And for everyone who has given more than 2 hours of their time with us today, we say a big thank you to you attendees. And thank you so much to our speakers and panelists who have given us this depth of their time, and also depth of their own personal stories, and being very honest and vulnerable in making us have a rich conversation. We say thank you so much. And please, everyone, try and connect with our speakers and our panelists on LinkedIn or social media, so that any questions you may have, or for anyone who's going to be watching the recording, if you have any questions, please reach out to them. And they're very open people, and they're going to be very grateful to connect with. I'm going to do the same. So please, because if you see me in your DM, know that I am taking action and doing what I preach. Thank you so much. We can't thank you enough for your time, and for everyone in our technical and also the background behind the scenes. We thank you so much for being a team and making sure that this happens. And the recording is going to be shared to all attendees, so that we can actually have time to dissect this more and more and take action. In summary, I just want to say thank you so much. Let us continue having these conversations. Let us continue taking action. Let us continue holding ourselves accountable, because the future we want is in the present, and it is in today. Thank you so much. My name is Imo Anselm, and it's been a pleasure to be your host and moderator for today's conversation. See you in the next one that we will be having, and for many more conversations and great sessions that we'll be having. Thank you so much, and do have a fantastic rest of your today. Stay blessed.
Thank you, Mo. Thank you, everyone, and also to our speakers and the participants. Have a great day. Thank you. Let's see you for subsequent webinars.